How to move on from a toxic relationship, how to know when to leave a toxic relationship.
I think it goes back to what you said. If you are having a good faith effort to present your needs to the other person, and they say, jump in a lake, I'm not changing anything, or I'm not in the wrong, or it's actually you that makes me this way. If any of those things are in place, it's time to move on. There has to be a thread of humility. It doesn't even have to look like humility. It just needs to look like, my bad, I'm sorry about this part. I wish I could be better. I want to change. There has to be something. There has to be something that stems from humility that allows that person to communicate, I know there's something wrong here and I would like it to be different. But if that doesn't exist and it's just pushed back on you and there's blame and there's all of this stuff, this pushback on you when you try to bring this up, when you try to communicate well, again, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
So that tells you when and how do you do that?
Especially in a marriage relationship. And this is the tough one because this stems right from, my personal faith and belief in Jesus and the things that he set up in his word. I have to abide by that. That might not be everybody's philosophy that they abide by. It's mine. I think there needs to be as much effort as humanly possible. If there is no adultery, if there is no physical abuse happening in that relationship, it's just toxic, which is bad. Don't get me wrong. It feels like abuse.
Yeah.
It might be abuse.
Yeah.
Emotional or mental. But if those things, that's what the word says, has to exist for you to just cut that off. If you're in marriage.
There's room for space. You can make space. You don't have to stay super close to that person if there's no way that you can get healthy on your own.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Without just saying, I love you, but I know that you need help and I need help.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to make some space between us.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. I think that's so healthy. If you could communicate to your spouse, this isn't great. This stinks. This is toxic. I don't want to live in this. I don't really think you want to live in this. Do you like this? And they might be defensive and then be like, nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. Maybe they grew up in a household that was toxic and this is just normal life to them. There is a lot of precedent also in scripture of you needing to separate yourself from people that are toxic, that are in sin. There's tons of examples in Corinthians and other letters to the churches where they're like, you need to separate yourself from these people so that they can actually encounter, because of that separation, like if you mean something to that person, the separation will actually allow them to get serious about changing. That's
it might be the catapult.
Important.
It might be.
A lot of times, especially in the church, I think it's super necessary for when someone is just in chosen sin, where they're just like, yeah, I'm doing this and I don't really feel a way about it. You're like, dang, okay, well, I love you, but I'm not going to participate in this chosen sin, not sin that you don't even know you're committing. This chosen sin that you are choosing to commit.
That you don't care about.
I will separate myself from you, and hopefully our relationship means enough to click something in your brain that you're like, I got to get this right.
Yeah.
Because that relationship is way more important than this thing that I'm doing.
Yes.
Yeah, space is really important. I like that you said that because that might be another way to fix toxic relationships is you not being in them. Doesn't mean you have to end it. It doesn't mean that you have to divorce your spouse if you're married. It just means that you're going to give space. And space is such a healthy thing.
What would you say for those who are dating?
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. That one's easy. If it's toxic now, it's going to be toxic forever.
Is there a safer way to do it though? What if the person maybe they're nervous for the reaction of the person that they're with?
Dependent.
Maybe what are some ideas for how to pull out of that as gracefully as possible, or there's not a way?
Who cares?
Yeah.
If you're in a toxic relationship and you're dating, bye.
Yeah.
I don't really think you need to have grace for that.
Just be like, okay, this is not working.
Hey, you're toxic. Get away from me. You're not committed to that person. You're dating.
Yes.
Bye. Like, I don't think we need to play with toxic chemicals.
Right.
That's why they got death on the barrels that are toxic. They got little skull and crossbones. Like, don't touch it. Get away from it. Stay away from it. Don't talk to me anymore.
That's the best way to do it, especially if you haven't been dating for long. As soon as you see that, you're just like, we're done.
Right. And I get it. If you're in I think
it's harder for the people who have been in it
a long time.
A long time. It's harder.
Right.
Not different. It's not different. It's just harder. Whereas if you're just dating and you see it right away and it's evident to you, it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, this would never work.
Yeah. One tip to help people early on so that you can catch this quick is to be as honest as possible, as early as possible in the relationship. The more that you can bring yourself to that person and see how they respond to it will tell you so much about how the relationship will be a week from now.
Yes.
Days from now, eventually years from now.
Honest with them and with yourself.
Yeah.
Don't see something they do and be like, oh, and make excuses in your head for them. No,
Nope.
You need to ask them. You need to talk about, you need to look at it as realistic as possible.
Right.
Because then you're going to get yourself in a trap.
Yeah. Is this a holy separateness that's occurring right now? Or is this something that I need to be aware of?
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely, because that could just be that person's opinion. But if it's a toxic opinion that is taking from you, there's a difference between an opinion and I'm going to crush your opinion to promote mine.
Yeah.
That's toxic.
Yeah.
Now, take note. Take note if that continues and be like, and that's what in dating relationships, we're not as brave as we should be in that time that we're preparing for marriage, hopefully, eventually, to say, hey, what the heck? Hey, man, why'd you just down my idea? That's my opinion. You could have another one, but don't be coming against my opinion and saying, oh, that sucks.
Right.
That's mine. Do you not care about me enough to just value that I gave my opinion? And if they're like, no. Cool.
Or they might not say that, but you can see from their actions if they continue to act that way, their actions speak for themselves.
Yeah. I would say, yes, if you've been in that long relationship where you're already living with the person, sleeping with the person, you're in that married mode without the marriage commitment behind it. Yeah, that's tougher because maybe you have finances linked and you got this linked and it's hard to break that off. I still think you need to just get out. Like do it as I just need space and then cut it off.
Right. That actually might be the safest way to do it.
Just be out of that environment first and then start cutting those things off, whatever is uniting you guys.
Better to do it now.
Yeah, but if you haven't been dating with a while, bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Don't need it. There's other relationships that I can have, and you're like, but it's hard to find somebody. You will.
You deserve somebody that will respect you and care for you.
That's a tough one, but kind of not.
Yeah.
Kind of not.
It just stinks for those who've been in the relationship.
I think that's it. It just stinks.
It just stinks.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
Kind of cut and dry.
Yeah.
Kind of cut and dry on what your next right step is.